let's talk about importing cars and exporting. But right now, importing is all the rage because the market in America is hotter than nearly anywhere else, seemingly, especially post-pandemic, post-COVID. I don't know which word I'm supposed to say or not say that will get censored or whatever by the algorithms, but whatever. Not making any political statements about it, just talking about the effect on the market by the bat disease.
I'm gonna give you a parachute out of this. It is kind of crazy when I look at, because eventually the listeners will get tired of hearing about this. I'm shopping for a GT3, an old one, the cheapest one. When I look at the prices they sell for on like collecting cars and stuff over in Europe, I start salivating a little bit because they're just like, now granted, as we're going to talk about, that's not including import or anything else that it would take to get that car here. And I probably can't even get it here yet because it's not old enough, but still, things are just more expensive in the U.S. right now, it seems.
Yes and no.
Oh,
yes
really?
And no. I will. Okay, so I want to back up, give a little bit of intro first because, that's what I have to do. Give you an anecdote from my years in the car business. And if I had $1 for every time somebody that's not in the car business came to me and said, oh, look at what cars are going for in Dubai. It's just everybody has tons of money there. Let's just start a business sending cars over there. I'm like, there's so many reasons why this won't work. I don't have the time to explain it to everybody who comes up to me with that business proposition, but it's amazing how many times people have come to me with that type of like arbitrage that don't even do car stuff. And I'm like,
but number bigger over there, Doug.
There's so many more complications, customs and politics.
No, we're talking about stock cars, Doug. No customs in here.
Well, just like
Thank you.
The manufacturers don't want you to do it. You can't buy new cars from a dealership and send them overseas because then the manufacturer penalizes the dealership and then they'll put you on a blacklist and all sorts of different nuances to this. But anyway, there is money to be made through this type of arbitrage, but it's typically kind of limited, right? So in a rapidly changing market, obviously, if you're ahead of the curve, there can be significant upside. So, for example, back in like 2012, 13-ish, I think it was, the Canadian dollar was super weak. So I was buying a lot of cars from Canada and bringing them over. Well, that dried up after like 6 months because everybody else, especially the people in Canada, figured out this was happening. So they raised their prices. So there's no more spread to be made. Around the same time, I was selling a lot of Porsches to Germany. The market in Germany was crazy. They were buying up old Porsches and essentially bringing them back home. That dried up after about a year when the U.S. market went crazy. It was like the post-recession market. And between 2012 and 2015, the market on air-cooled Porsches went up approximately 400%.
God, why didn't I have money then? Why was I in high school?
Well, a lot of people didn't have money then. They all lost it in the real estate and stock market. But the people that did started buying up collector cars. And as this recovery happened, man, the prices went absolutely bonkers. But that sell-off over to Germany dried up because all of a sudden they were coming the other way. So any of this type of, currency differential or market differential arbitrage has its time and its place. It's never forever.
Do you think it's one of those things that is so short-lived that essentially by the time people are talking about it, it's already gone? It's like buying stocks or whatever else. If somebody's already telling you, if it's already up, you're out.
Maybe. There's been a lot of Euro cars coming over to the U.S. in the last few years. It seems like a protracted period of being able to make good money. But I won't give the spoiler alert. I'll give that when it's later. So it's not a spoiler then.
Are you alerting that there will be
at the end?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I've already come to a conclusion. I know what the conclusion is. If I don't
buckle
forget
up, everybody. We're going to have a conclusion this episode. Doesn't happen all the time, but here we go.
This was spurred. So Tyler's been looking at cars in the European market because he's been looking at a Mark 1 GT3.
Or 2, well, preferably Mark 2.
Well, but you can't import the Mark 2 yet.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So and you never could. We never got the Mark 1 here. So that's especially exciting.
There's some good green ones too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is another thing. Europeans have way better taste, so you get some really cool specs over there as opposed to just the silver black ubiquity that's here in our market. But I've also been looking. Spoiler alert, because I'm going to Scotland in May, and I want to buy a car over there with the idea of importing it back after I'm done with it on my trip and making some money over here.
Yeah, you should find a green Mark 1 GT3, enjoy it for a little bit, and then bring it back in for me.
I'm trying. You know what I'm finding? All the cars I'm looking at, almost without exception, they are more money in Europe than they are here. I am completely striking out. I feel like the market is totally dried up. The Europeans are like, oh man, those greedy Americans, they're way overpaying, and the asking prices are nuts.
Well, and we are getting into the point now where, 25 years ago was the year 2000. We're getting into the cars that a lot of us love, that are in, I guess, our generation, that we couldn't have. And, the cars we couldn't have, I think, declined over time as the world became more homogenized in terms of car availability. But there's still some sick stuff, like the Mark 1 GT3, that just never was sold here. So I'm sure they're seeing what happened with the Skylines and the Audi RS2s and all that other cool stuff, and are like, let's just raise the prices now.
Right.
They'll pay it.
Right. There's so many people into the market as a investment, as, a business, that it's nearly impossible for the average person to seek out any advantage, because any car that might be importable to the U.S. in the next 5 years, all of the dealers and speculators are already thinking about and already buying. So it's not like all of a sudden you can just import a car and nobody's thought about it and nobody's imported it. I got pretty lucky. I imported what I believe was the first Audi RS2 Avant into the U.S., other than ones that were here on European plates, which doesn't count. That's not fair. I had the first actual imported one, and I did pretty well on that car. I got it pretty cheap because I bought it before people were really thinking about it. But that was also kind of an under-the-radar car. I tried to do the same thing with a Honda NSX-R, and it was like everybody in Japan's like, no, we want $400,000 because they're going up in value. I'm like, they're not up. They might be going up. They're not there yet. They are now. Yeah. But no, I looked at a bunch of stuff that I could try to import, and it was all like, man, I'm looking at Ferraris, I'm looking at Acura NSXs, Honda NSXs over there.
Yeah.
The one that I found, I was looking at some Porsches, but I didn't want to be too passe, like everybody's got Porsches, air-cooled Porsches, whatever, that's blah. Aston Martins, DB7s, right? I love DB7s. I was looking at DB7 Vantages the first couple of years. They're like 50, 60 grand for automatics over there.
Whoa.
You can't get 40 grand for a manual here in the US.
That's
now,
wild.
I think those are undervalued, but I'm like, what are they smoking? I looked at BMW Z8s because the first year is legal to bring over now, and supposedly those are all, world cars anyway, so you could bring over a later one. You just get a compliance letter. Those are not way more, but they're more than they are here. And after you factor the import costs, like, you're behind the game, and you have a gray market car. So the one car I did find so far that there was upside on, and I was $250 away, I almost won it on Collecting Cars auction, was a TVR Subaru.
Ooh, yeah. Those are pretty under the radar for, like, that's an if you know kind of car amongst car enthusiasts here. Right.
So I think I would have been in it like $30K imported, landed here, and they're going between 40 and 50 on Bring a Trailer.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, almost. But I also don't know those cars super well, so I wanted to have lots of extra room for margin in case there was something I didn't know that I didn't know.
Are those known for being reliable?
No, they're not. This car had 30,000 miles, and it already had a complete top and bottom engine rebuild.
Wow. So it's fresh.
The whole thing.
No.
So, no. I have found a hack, though. But this is like one.
You're calling
it
a hack, so it's not going to be a hack, Doug.
I bought my Diablo this way, and I recently bought a GT3 RS this way. Buying U.S. market cars that have been exported to Europe and bringing them back, there's some decent price advantage there.
Is it because they don't want the U.S. spec cars in Europe?
I think it's partly just the car. There's certain cars, like more modern cars over there, like the new Porsches that everybody's paying bonkers money over sticker for. Nobody cares in Europe. Like GT3 RS 4 liters, 911 Speedsters, 911 STs are just not carrying the kind of premium over there. So the stuff that's less than 25 years old but was sent over there, and that market hasn't been inflated like it is here, that's the stuff that you can bring back. And
why don't you bring a 4-liter back then?
Buyers because there aren't any that have been sent over there.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or very few. But the reason the advantage is there is because of the risk, right? So people in the U.S. don't want to deal with the unknowns and the risks of bringing a car back, putting it on a container ship, dealing with customs. And I tell you what, we brought a 3.8 GT3 RS back. There was a ton of delays. It was delayed a few weeks because of holidays and stuff getting out of Europe. And then by the time it got on a ship, that was when that bridge got hit in Maryland at that port. So there's a bunch of delays there. So it ended up taking like 3 months to get the car from Europe to here when it should have taken a month and a half. So the market could change, and tying up that amount of money for a long time, you got to make sure it's really worth it. So hence.
Well, I think, too, one of the things I wanted to ask you on this was, because I know you've done it a couple of times, obviously there is an inherent risk that we have talked about a lot on this podcast about buying a car sight unseen, how you can mitigate the issues with that. I have bought multiple cars sight unseen. You just kind of got to do it when you want something interesting, cool, or you're looking for something very specific. For some reason, it feels way less comfortable to do it over an ocean than it does over a bunch of land.
Yeah, we don't have Carfax.
Yeah,
right?
So I guess what have you done in the past to help mitigate some of that risk?
Either buy it cheap enough so that the risk doesn't matter,
That's true.
Or use people I know and trust to vet the cars for me. So I've had inspections done. I've sent people out to look at the cars. Again, that network is a little bit harder. Everybody knows somebody in Kentucky or whatever. Not many people know people in Luxembourg or Lithuania, where my Diablo came from. So that's, it's a little more legwork. You got to have a few more connections. I know people that actually fly over to Europe and just go car hunting, and it works really well for them. But yeah, I don't see that there's much upside anymore. I think that market has dried up because so many people are doing it. I remember last couple years, I had multiple clients importing Ferrari 550 Maranellos and 456s because there was this disparity in the market.
Yeah, they were super cheap for Euro spec cars.
Super cheap. And now, not. I look at them over there and I'm like, man, they're all just the same price. One of the worst examples was found this gorgeous silver on red Ferrari 348 Spider. Ooh. And I was like, that would be awesome. It was $140,000 US over in Europe.
Wow.
I'm like, I could buy a Berlinetta for $100K here, and that's worth more than the Spider. So
wow.
I think that market has dried up. But here's my conclusion. The spoiler alert, that's not a spoiler alert because you came with us the whole journey to get here. If you have a niche that you understand and you know the market on, you will still be able to find a margin somewhere. It's all about sticking to what you know. For example, when I bid on this TVR, some guy called me from the U.S. that saw me bidding. Is like, hey, do you want one? I'm like, no, I don't want one in the U.S. The whole point was to buy one over there and drive it. And he's like, basically, I've sold all the ones that have sold on Bring a Trailer. I import them from overseas, and I know that market. So it's like, me just dabbling in the TVR has found the one guy that's bringing them all over. So he's got that market on lock. He knows what he knows, and he's figured out a market. So, if you can figure out where there's disparity or a car that the market over there, it here, and you can find a pocket there, great. But it's got to be what you know. But just looking at the market as a whole, kind of blanket, 500-foot flyover, there's not much love in the spread from European market to U.S. market. So I'm coming up dry. But if anyone wants to sell me a 2000 Z8 cheap in Europe in a cool color, I'm your guy. So we got to do the ever popular license plate guessing game. People love this. They keep sending me submissions. Sorry, you have to find your own, Tyler.
What I think is funny is my girlfriend told me today, she's like, you've got me like hyper focused on license plates now. She will text me when she arrives places like, I saw this plate, I saw this plate, I saw this plate. Unfortunately, nothing from her will be, there wasn't anything that really stuck out to me, but she's like looking at every plate that passes by because of this silly game.
Yes.
So
I just follow the Vanity Plates of Maine Instagram page, and there's no filter on the ones from Maine. So you get some real good ones. Real good ones.
Alrighty, I've got 2. You usually have more than I do.
I've got 4. I've got 4. The first one is an Ohio plate that I saw in person. TRN to ERN. I believe it's train to earn, not turn to earn.
Okay.
Train to earn. Probably a coach, business coach, sales coach, something like that. One of these 10X people.
That is on a Chrysler 300.
Ooh. Well... Right idea.
Yes.
Right idea. It was on a Ford Fusion. So basically,
okay.
Yeah.
If I can get the right idea with these, I'm counting that as a win.
I saw that though. I got totally judgy though. I feel like that was equivalent to having Jeep Killer on the Bronco Sport. Right? I'm like, if you're training somebody to earn, you better be driving a friggin' Mercedes S-Class or something like that. Show me you know how to earn.
Fusions are fine, I guess, but they're
You drive a Ford Fusion and it's probably on payments. I'm not taking your advice. Sorry,
Yikes.
I'm not hating on anyone that has car payments or drives a Ford Fusion. But
yes,
you know,
lots of.
I'm trying not to be offensive, but listen, if you're fat, I'm not taking fitness advice from you. So, right? Like, it's just, I thought that plate was kind of ironic. Okay. What do you got?
I've got unsafe. I found this on the internet.
Nissan Altima.
No, it is on a Corvair.
Gosh darn it. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a good one.
I like that a lot.
Unsafe at any speed. Ralph Nader.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great one. That's a great... somebody driving a Nissan Altima would not have that kind of self-awareness.
And honestly, they'd be driving too fast down the highway with a donut on 2 opposite wheels that I wouldn't even be able to see it. So that's fine. This came from the internet, though.
All right, here's one from Vanity Plates of Maine.
I love it.
LOL, you mad?
Oh, I feel like I saw this, but I don't remember what it's on. Is it on like an F-150?
No, it's on a BMW 3 Series that has as many body panels missing as most Nissan Altimas.
What are they mad about then? Mad about all their mismatched body panels?
The road rage that happened right before this damage, probably.
The next one I've got is a Florida plate that is NOMOWK. So no mo work.
No mo work.
Work. Yeah,
it's a retired person. Probably. Was it on a golf cart?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
This was on a car.
All right. First guess. Cadillac.
No, but kind of right idea. This was on a Jag XJL.
Ooh.
From like the big old long guys from like the mid 2010s.
Maybe if they had done more work, they could have had it on a real luxury car.
Yeah. Yeesh.
Another one from Maine. Vampire.
Oh, that's got to be on like a...
This isn't a trick. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think of like what type of van though. Like it's probably somebody who's a van enthusiast. So it's probably some like GMC van with a custom paint job.
No.
Oh.
Toyota Sienna.
I thought way too
with
hard
lots
about
of bumper stickers, including PortCon, whatever that is. Something probably to do with vampires. All right, one last one. I love this one. You'll never get this. Another one from Vanity of Maine. HV2 poop. Have to poop. I told you there's no filter there.
I don't know. Honda Accord.
No. Lexus LS 430.
Or at least they can poop in style.
Wow. Oh, I wonder what they do for a living.
Just have IBS, Doug. Calm down.
It should have been on a Toyota TRD. Because Toyota Turd, we always call them. Toyota Tundra Turd, have to poop. They missed an opportunity.
I need to get the Ohio version of that plate. Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Sheffield All Sport Watches. The Sheffield brand was recently revived by Jay Turkbus, an owner of an original Sheffield All Sport diver he received from his parents in 1970 when he was just 11, beginning his love of watches. As an adult, Jay used his extensive expertise in product development and marketing to revive the brand that started it all. He set out to develop watches with a high level of quality and specification at a value price. His first effort, and a successful one in July of 2023, was the debut of the Sheffield All Sport Diver 1. It had the kind of build and movement that much more expensive watches use, and his debut price of $108 was equivalent to the $13 his parents paid back in 1970. Since that debut, Sheffield has expanded to a wider range of automatics and chronos, many designed around vintage Sheffield dials of the 60s. The Sheffield well of clever and unique design remains his inspiration, as well as maintaining the goal of high-quality, very affordable range of automatic and quartz watches. Sheffield watches, value on merit, not just price. I love mine. Get yours at sheffieldwatches.com and mention that you heard about them on SwitchCast. Thank you for joining us for SwitchCast with Doug Tabbutt and Tyler Sanders, produced by Ethan Huffnagel. SwitchCast is an automotive entertainment and opinion show, and nothing we say should be taken very seriously. We do not give tax, investment, legal, emotional, or professional advice, and the only licenses we hold are driver's licenses. The opinions expressed on this show are exclusively held by the people pontificating at that moment and do not reflect the values of our producers or sponsors. Our theme music is provided by Emily and Ivory. You can stream their full album on Spotify or SoundCloud. If you like this show, you can stream it in its entirety on your favorite audio podcast platform. Check out switchcast.live for more info.